Okay, so somebody said to me the other day that they weren't really sure, like they wanted to get into D&D. They wanted to start playing D&D, maybe get a group of friends together that have never played, and they can play on their own without having to join an existing group. They can just make their own group. So what do you need to run a game of Dungeons and Dragons? And to play in a game of Dungeons and Dragons. Well, if you're just a player, and I don't mean just a player, but I mean you're not the dungeon master running the game. You really don't need anything to play your first game, because chances are your dungeon master is going to have at least some of the material that you need. They're going to be somewhat versed in the rules, enough to run the game so that they can kind of guide you step by step, and you don't have to do any pre-reading. It's not that difficult to learn. Okay, so you don't really need to buy anything if you're a player. You might want to get some dice. Or borrow, dice for your very first game. That's one thing. See, me as a dungeon master, I can provide you with all that stuff. It's just that I've played the game for a long time. I have all the stuff that I like to use. If you show up and you want to play your first game of Dungeons and Dragons, you don't need anything. I'll show you everything and explain to you what you might need or might want to buy. But I will, over time, if you keep playing, encourage you to get those things. Okay, well, let's say you have a group of friends. You don't want to join an existing game of Dungeons & Dragons. You want to do it on your own, learn it at your own pace, just you and people you already know, and you don't want to have to deal with a bunch of weird strangers like me that are super into the game, because I am. I'm D&D AF, motherfucker. So the one thing I would recommend, of course only if you're ages 12 plus, I would recommend the D&D starter set as your very, very first purchase. Just because it's got basically everything you need in there. You can go to plenty of review videos that'll tell you all about it, but I think it's pretty neat. I've even still got the original dice that came with it. So it's got the dice, it's got your adventure book, which is a fantastic adventure. Even if you have all the other things, like if you have the Player's Handbook and the Dungeon Master's Guide, which I recommend both of those highly, get this starter set, because it comes with a great introductory adventure. I played through this, it kept us playing like 10, 12 games. I think that's pretty good. 12 2 to 3 hour sessions. Of course, my sessions, there's a lot of goofing around, so we don't always play at the same pace as everybody else. Some people could breeze through this in like 2 days, or two games. I don't see how that's possible, but I suppose it depends how you play, right? Anyway, this box comes with the starter set rule book, so it's like a slimmed down version of the rules from the Player's Handbook, like really, really condensed. But it's enough to get you going, playing a level 1 to 3 adventure, which is included in the book, and Lost Minds of Phandelver, which is fantastic. Then it comes with like pre-made characters too, which I think is really cool. And you don't have to play these ones if you don't want to, but they're there so that you can jump in and start playing. But I think this starter set does a really good job of giving you what you need to get playing right away. So here's what I recommend. Get the starter set. Well, first of all, ask all of your friends, hey, you want to play some Dungeons & Dragons? We're going to try it out. I'm going to get the starter set. So get that starter set. Okay. Who's going to be the DM? That you have to decide. If none of you have ever played before, that could be a really difficult decision. But if you can find the one person, or one person steps up and says, I want to do that, then I say they should be the person that buys the box. Everybody else can chip in for it. It's only like $20, or in Canada, it'd probably be 13 or 14 in the States, something like that. If you can still find it. Now they're replacing it with the Essentials kit, or maybe not replacing it, but they're putting out a new introductory product, which I heard is really good, and I haven't got it yet. Anyway, the guy who wants to be the DM, guy or girl, sorry, should not be the only one to read this book, the starter set rule book, but of course they should be the only one to read this book, the adventure, because the Dungeon Master, of course, is going to be the one describing the environment, moving the story along, running the adventure. So they're the ones that need to know where all the surprises around the next corner are. They need to know the general flow of the adventure, and whereas the players are just experiencing it. And man, I miss being a player sometimes. You just gotta just walk through and do what you're gonna do and just play, man. So yeah, if you want to buy new group starting out, get the starter set. I mean, like I said, it's got characters in there you can play right away. It's got dice to use to start playing. It's got an adventure that's ready to go. What I was getting around to saying was that I would give the Dungeon Master a week to read that adventure, especially if you've never run a game before, because you're going to want to read it all the way through, and then you're going to want to read it all the way through again. Okay, the starter set is a great introductory product. This got me started on 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. It was the first thing that I bought, and right after I bought it, I was pretty sure that I wanted to get the Player's Handbook. So, I mean, you could skip the starter set, but I don't recommend skipping it. If you're a DM, get the starter set anyway.